Oh, I forgot to change the title. Crap. There we go. Alrighty. Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to Smudcast number 729, What Makes a Bad Isekai, Part 3. We are continuing on the video we covered 2 days ago from Weeb Jail. And this is definitely one of the more unique videos we ever covered. We're not watching it to learn anything. We're not watching it to hear what makes an anime good or bad or an isekai good or bad. We're just here to observe a human who we've never encountered before. He's passionate and serious and is making the most obscure, backwards arguments we've ever seen, at least I've ever seen before. So it's hard to take him seriously. It's hard to comprehend him. And, it makes me want to rewatch ReZero, just to rewatch it to see what the heck where did he come from? How did he get there? Because I cannot fathom his thought process. How he dislikes it so much, even though he likes parts of it so much. It's weird. It's a weird love-hate relationship he has with ReZero and his concept of a video for what makes a good or bad isekai anime, which is flawed to begin with, but he went ahead with it anyway. There you go. And Whisp is back. How's it going, Whisp?
Hi, Whisp.
Hello.
Okay, you're here. Good to hear. All right.
Speaking of rewatching ReZero, I've actually seen that somebody left a comment on the previous part saying that us covering this video and talking about it made them want to watch it.
Yeah, it's a good anime. I don't care if you don't like it as an isekai, but it's a good anime. It has good animation. It has some weird, goofy, weird, quirky characters, as most animes do. And if you don't like the violence, that's, not your bag. I get it, but it doesn't happen all the time. So it's part of the drama is to have this shock value. Like, oh my God, that's horrific. And then you understand where he's coming from. He gets reset, and now he has to fix it. This is
nothing in ReZero happens without a reason.
It's classic quantum leap stuff. You're trying to fix things that should not have happened. So I don't see that as a bad thing. It could get redundant in some cases, but I think every time he gets reset, we get a different story anyway. So
it's also why they leave out repeating parts of that.
That's a good, when I noticed that, I was like, oh, it's good. We're not going to see the same crap over again. It's going to be seen from a different angle or a different perspective.
Yeah, skip ahead the parts that are the same.
Exactly. So the only thing I don't like about this guy, outside of his crazy conclusions, is his swearing. If he was like a normal guy who just talked like he didn't like something, that'd be great. I could listen to him. But because he's swearing all the time, it sounds like a petulant child arguing that his toy is not up to snuff amongst his other toys or something like that. So, anyway. We are at 23 and a half minutes. We have 13 minutes to go. Let's see how far is it 13 or... Yeah, 13 minutes. All right. So, we should have done maybe a little more yesterday, but I think I had enough, and this is a good point to end. Here we go. Rounds. I don't remember the other rounds except the meaninglessness, or the meaningful meaninglessness last one. So anyway.
And the loudness. It's so loud.
Anyway, here we go.
I wasn't kidding when I said this dude looks like Jim Carrey's The Mask. He's just so exaggerated and hyper edgy all the time, to the point where you'd think it's...
He's not edgy, he's cramped up like hell. That's not edgy. You're just using the word edgy because it's the only word you know.
Yeah, edgy's the wrong word to describe him.
No, it's not.
It's more like he's very unsettling, because he's so unpredictable how he's going to act when he talks to somebody.
Edgy is a word we use for pretentious people who want to come across as cool or amazing or something on the crass end of things. But Beetlejuice is not that. Beetlejuice is the way he is. He is not putting on a show. Yeah. Edgy is putting on a show in part.
Edgy thinks you're doing something serious and intense when you're just eating lunch or walking down the street.
Oh, when you try to imitate the metalheads and the goths by being emo, that's edgy.
There you go. You're trying to be a punker, but you're not.
I'm so hurting. You couldn't ever understand me. That's it. That's that. It's also edgy and cringe go hand in hand. I think they're a couple.
Okay.
I hope they never have a child.
Good villains need nuance. If they're just, ooh, bad guy do bad thing, you really don't give a fuck.
No. There's plenty of good. How about Vicious from Cowboy Bebop? We have no idea what personality. He's just this mysterious guy, and he has some flashbacks through other people's perspective. But that's it. He's perfectly fine the way he is.
Mm-hmm.
So this is once again really funny that he says something that can be disproven by like an immediate counter, which is that he showed season 2 and he showed the scene where they actually give Beetlejuice his backstory, where he gets fleshed out. So
backstory is cringe.
Because
we need only 2 interesting characters. Everybody else needs to be bad, otherwise it's bad.
Because he thinks he's edgy, therefore backstory with edgy character bad.
But flat stereotype characters are bad as well.
Yeah.
So the show should probably only have 2 characters in a room.
Easy example. In Infinity War, villain because he's right. He's absolutely right. When he Thanos' the galaxy, people's lives do get better, just as he promised.
What?
He's missing, however, is that other people...
What did he just say about Thanos? He's right?
This guy, what? Are you actually brain damaged?
I think he's mixing up having like an understandable motive versus one that's correct. Like, you can understand why he's doing it because he's giving you the reasons for why he thinks the way he does. But that doesn't mean he's correct.
Thanos is a complete retard. He does not understand that his plan has no long-term benefits. It postpones the current status quo. That's all it does, and then he destroys the fucking stones. The fucking idiot. He had the power of the universe. He basically could play God as he wished, and what he did was the dumbest thing imaginable to solve a problem that he thought existed, although he didn't even understand the most basic things about ecology
or economics.
This is the thing that I was touching on last time with, like, in regards to media literacy. Like, again, I don't want to use that term because it's so cringe, but like, he thinks of a villain to compare Beetlejuice to, and he immediately goes to like new movie from MCU. Like, do you not have other examples?
He doesn't know any old stuff.
Like, immediately going to Thanos is so weird. There's so many other examples you could have used of like nuanced villains. This just makes me think he doesn't know anything else.
How did anyone? Where do we ever see anyone's life having gotten better? All we see is everyone's fucking depressed and suicidal.
Well, how could you make the argument that if you kill half of existence, the other half will benefit? Like, what is that? How does that even quantify?
And permanently, so the term you're missing is time preference. Thanos' time preference is today. He doesn't think of 200 years in the future when all these populations will have recovered to the same level they are right now. Or they were before he snapped. Well, yeah, actually, he snapped. Yes. Thanos snapped. He's an idiot. He's a psychopath lunatic.
I can't believe
he has a George Lucas problem. Nobody told him, hey, boss, your plan is a bit flawed, isn't it?
Anyway, if he wants to logically argue that the villain is right, he can do that. You can't just say he is right. That's not...
Also, his argument is double flawed again, because a villain doesn't need to be correct to be a good character. The villain can be completely wrong. People love the Joker for a reason. He's an iconic character. He's always wrong because he's a lunatic.
All right, this
doesn't make
you
him
could have
a bad
stayed in the
character.
anime realm and tried to cite Malos in
no,
Xenoblade 2.
You could go crazy. You could say, Hitler was okay. No, he was right.
basically his argument.
That's what he's saying. This mass murder is just he's justified and everything makes sense. You're like, wow, really? Now, if he's arguing that makes a good villain, it's like, well, how does that make him a good villain? Because you understand him. I could understand the Joker for being crazy.
No, but he was badly written because Hitler was loud.
You could barely understand his speeches.
Oh, all right. All right. Let's keep going.
Than make life worth living. So what good is it that you can live better and longer if half the people you know are gone? There's nuance. Not only does Thanos think he's fighting for good, he absolutely is, and it's the balance of these philosophies.
How do you know he's good?
You are completely insane. You're a psychopath.
You're just justifying
he has
mass
too much emotion for a psychopath. He's just insane.
He's justifying mass murder. He is good because I think he's good. You're like, wait, no.
Your life is gonna be longer and better because half the people you know are gone?
He just made the leap in the same sentence. He said he thinks he's good, but also he's actually good. It's like, no, there's
so if half your family died, you would be better off, yeah? So the parents that pay for your bills and for your games and for your manga, for your computer, and probably for your worthless college degree.
This guy does not have a college degree of any sort. There's no way.
No. He will have a useless college degree.
Okay, that's all he can get. Oh boy. Well, this is getting a little bit crazy.
Wow. I'd be better off if my wife died. Yeah, you may say that after 30 years of marriage, maybe.
Well, it's not just your wife, it's everyone else's wife, because you're talking about two people, so by mathematical probability, if you know two people, one of them is going to die by virtue of 50% of the universe.
Yeah, by the way, that he indiscriminately killed half the children as well.
Yeah. It's just...
What is this called? What do you call this? Unicide?
Oh, God, I don't know.
I think genocide is not the right word here.
You only kill half of everything.
Oh, because the individual can have more stuff now. That's not how it works. When there were only 1 billion people on our planet, they didn't have more stuff.
This is like take the sign for, or the word or the famous term from Fallout, like too many people, not enough resources to go around, and then going, well, if we only had less people, and there'd be more resources for everyone, so we should nuke the Earth. And you're like, what? Why? That's crazy.
Well, who should die? Well, not me, of course.
Just all of the people that we can count that are in large quantity. Like that would end the war. It's like you're starting a war to end the war. Yeah, I've never heard that before. Never heard that logic before ever in history.
Yeah. Oh yes, Cyber. Thank you for the reminder. That half the population is the general distribution. So that means you could be on the short end stick like Hawkeye and lose all your family. So yeah, what would you do if all your family died?
There's also the problem of the logistics, because the fact that he doesn't pick and choose means that he could have yeeted a bunch of very important people that keep the planet stable.
Yeah, what if all the doctors in your city died?
How about
the garbage men and the people who keep the water reclamation plant going?
Yeah,
a pilot gets snapped mid-flight and the entire thing just goes down.
Oh, that will have happened a lot.
Yes.
Oh God. Anyway, yeah, we could go crazy. This has been said before about the film, so not the best take on the Infinity War Gauntlet or Infinity Gauntlet saga in the comics. So
okay. Before I just thought he's immature, but now I think he's just batshit insane. Anyway. This guy doesn't understand the value of life at all.
This is even weirder because he says these things, but then his favorite show is the show where nothing happens. I don't understand.
He's insane.
It's one thing to dislike ReZero. It's another thing to gush about a lunatic god killing everyone. That's kind of a weird take, a weird stretch to say this is a good villain because he's crazy. I don't. Maybe he likes it's because he's more fleshed out and there's more backstory to him and it's explained more. Maybe that's why. This is.
But Thanos' plan was stupid.
But he said he's correct. That doesn't check out.
Yeah.
Like, he can be more nuanced, which he is, but he's not a good person. Yeah. He's not doing a good thing.
Yeah. And Thanos may have come from good intentions. He just completely misunderstands how things work. That's why he comes up with a flawed plan, with a flawed solution.
Yeah, imagine if...
That he thinks is right.
Imagine if Thanos...
This just reminded me, this is actually a really good segue back into ReZero. The witches are exactly this. The witch he's looking for, they are nuanced. They think they're doing good things. It just so happens that those good things are very bizarre from a human perspective.
Yeah, I'm trying to find, like, imagine he made a plan that was logical, that made sense, that you could, I don't know, prevent wars from happening in the future, whatever the magical power was to do that. You'd be like, oh, that's kind of cool. So you'd stop the aggressive principle or the aggressive notion in people or all living organisms. Like, wait a second, if we stop the aggressive principle in like animals and insects and all other forms of life, they never eat, they never attack, they never hunt.
Then the whole circle of life just crumbles, just collapses.
Yeah, it would have to be some very nuanced, like only the conscious, sapient characters in the universe could do that. Would stop having these aggressive notions. Maybe, I don't know. Like something that would be, okay, yeah, no more violence. Like no one would ever hurt each other physically ever again to the point of death. Okay, fine. What would happen after that? So you could argue ethically that that's a good idea, but maybe there's a logistical or a practical or some other reality that he didn't think about. And
that is the thing. Technically, you can compare the Infinity Gauntlet to a monkey's paw. If you formulate your wish wrong or flawed because you lack understanding like Thanos does, your wish just causes other problems. Or just does nothing at all but cause harm, like Thanos did. Because he didn't understand that long term, the shit he did had absolutely no effect. He just killed a lot of people.
I want an explanation why he thinks he's right, though, but we're not going to get one. Anyway.
We're not going to get it.
Let's keep going.
And then in Endgame, he's literally just anti-Avengers puppet evildoer going around and trying to stop them. He's just evil. There's no nuance, and it's fucking shit. God, that movie...
No, the movie had a lot of problems, but that part can be explained because that is pre-personal arc Thanos that is being fought in Infinity War.
Yes.
He sucks ass. Bringing it back to preeminence of a waifu for a quick second.
That movie didn't have a villain until the end of the second season. Because it's all, hey, let me make paper.
Yeah.
Who's the villain? Who's the bad guy? That's right. It's mine. It's her taking over this body, this person that they all know and love. And despite
she's the bad guy.
She has not actively done that.
She's the villain?
She is a victim of circumstance or product of circumstance.
What is this guy talking about?
A villain requires intent.
Oh my god!
A villain requires what is the word? Not action.
Mens rea.
Agency. A villain has agency.
Yeah, most characters in isekais that I've read, I have no control over where they're going and how they get there. Like, meaning, do they get reborn into someone? Do they replace someone? Do they get, like, instantly they're born and that's the day of their birth? Or do they replace someone at 4 years old? It varies. And that's actually...
He's making the argument that mine replaced someone that already existed in this world, so she's the villain.
But
that's not...
argument. I don't know.
She didn't actively do that. The girl before died, and people who figure this out because mine has a different character than before the horrible illness, they are quite upset with the situation. But they get used to it.
Yeah,
I think agency is the best point that you could have made with this, is because she didn't choose to be reincarnated into this person. It just happened.
Yeah, there's a
It doesn't
manga.
make her a villain.
There's a manga that deals with this. It's called The Beginning After the End. And the character, once he's like, I don't know, 16 or so, he tells his parents, by the way, I had this intelligence since I was a baby. And they're like, what? What are you talking about? I could understand you and read books and all this other stuff. And so they saw it as, oh yeah, I'm like, that's terrifying, because it's like having a 30-year-old stuck in a child's body, or whatever the case was. So they were freaking out in one regard. In the other regard, they're like, well, you're still my son. I still love you. You still love me. There's really nothing that changed aside from knowing that you came from somewhere else. That is this, the gods decided to do that. So it freaked out the mother, because obviously if you're a 30-year-old man sucking on your mother's breasts, that might, cause her a little concern. There's a little nuance to that, I admit. But that's just part of the conflict of, I want to be honest with my family, whom I love and I accept. And no matter what the outcome is, I'm going to be honest and tell them the truth, because I want them to know the truth. It's their right to know the truth, everything about me, etc., etc. Why he's so strong, why he's so knowledgeable, why he can do all these amazing things, which is some of the problems of isekais in general. Like, we want to talk about isekai in our own criteria, what makes a bad isekai. It's the tropes that never get reused properly, or get expressed properly, or they're redundant, or they're boring, or it's always the Mary Sue character, or whatever the issue might be. So to have that nuance and to say, hey, I had no control over this, but I'm sorry, I didn't want to hurt your feelings. And it's not like he knew about the previous person that was born. Like, he didn't say, well, did that personality get destroyed? Did I become it, or did it become part of me? I don't know. So there's that wonderful, like, where does life begin question, and did I eliminate your child, and now that I'm in their body? So that went through the entire, like, 1 or 2 episodes or 2 mangas. It was a whole full color series. So it that's the first time I've seen that and be taken seriously, because sometimes they say, oh, I'm from another world. Oh, cool. They never question it in that detail and what it means. So
the genre is exploring its philosophical dilemmas.
Yeah, that's kind of like what you do, like what happened in KOTOR 1 and 2. What is this? What does it mean to be good as a Jedi? What does it mean to be bad as the Sith? What is the Force? Why does it do what it does? And they really extrapolated that with KOTOR 2 and the main character. So that is what you want to see in a good story that happens to be in a certain genre. That the story addresses the fundamental problems and may not even have an answer for them, but at least it deals with them. So anyway, this was a bad take on his understanding of reincarnation.
And no explanation why Thanos killing people at random was right.
I also think this is like another view of him just not understanding words, because what I think he wants to talk about is antagonists, but he says villain, even though those don't have to be the same thing.
Right, yeah.
Like, every story can have an antagonist, but that doesn't mean the antagonist is a villain.
Yeah,
but mine is also not an antagonist.
In a slice
of... Yeah, that's also true. She's a protagonist.
Yeah,
she's only antagonist.
In a slice of life, it's very hard to figure out the antagonist and protagonist in a scene, because every scene is just a day happens, then life occurs. So you could argue the conflict between two characters could be antagonistic. It's kind of like the problem with romance. With romance stories, it's very similar. Slice of life, people meet and encounter each other and run away and whatever. But with romance, you know that the protagonist is the one doing the pursuing, and the antagonist is the one who's being pursued. Yeah. So
also for just to clear this up for anyone who hasn't seen or read Bookworm, the girl that initially was born in this world, she had a disease that she got from having too much mana. Her mana pool was too big for her age. That made her sick, and she died. And then Mine's soul got into her body and she woke up. Bam. Which is also the explanation why Mine has super mana, which later comes in. So to give her more Mary Sue stuff. But yeah, so none of this is Mine's fault.
Being her fault, she has to live with the consequences. When Ritsu confronts her,
if you even admit that it's not her fault, how can you call her the villain? Does your teacher ever spank you? we need to get the thing with the
ruler.
Yeah, with the ruler, we need to get that back.
Bring back the nuns. Yeah.
Yeah.
real answer she can give him is, "I'm sorry, but I'll still be your friend." When the high priest puts the crown on her, it's because she's the dangerous one. There isn't some arbitrary distinction between good and evil.
Being dangerous doesn't mean that you're the villain.
Yeah, I don't think he understands what villain means.
Yeah. In Xenoblade, the Aegis is not necessarily evil or the villain. Mithra steals her powers away herself because she accidentally nuked a continent.
Yes.
And the war orphan who was cooking for her.
That would be. We care because there isn't some blatantly evil fucker who likes eating people. The bad guy is mine. So,
What?
in ReZero, Jim Carrey's The Mask over here is a fucking horrible villain because there's no nuance. There's no...
Wait. Why do you need nuance for something to be good?
He doesn't understand what nuance means. He thinks nuance is when the batshit crazy villain looks nice. That's not nuance.
When the villain does something he agrees with.
How is anything made good with nuance? What are you talking about? Can you imagine
He doesn't know what
a
nuance
hamburger? It has a slight flavor of garlic. It's like, yeah, but it tastes like shit. Who cares if there's also a garlic flavor that's nuanced on top? Like, what's your point?
And Thanos is not a man of nuance. He's a man of extremes. He has his solution. It's his solution or none at all. It's Charred Earth. Because he believes he is saving existence.
Yeah, if you were this person who had all power, wouldn't you be like, hey, wait a second, maybe I need to learn how to use it properly. Let me take 100 years and argue with some experts and ancient beings that...
Thing with the comic Thanos and why they made him evil. And why the movie Thanos being this nuanced, this big nuanced character, and why that doesn't work is because when you give somebody that's not evil the Infinity Gauntlet, they should be able to figure out better solutions because they have all power. Like, instead of killing people, he could have just doubled all the resources that exist in the universe. He didn't have to kill anybody.
It would be the same effect.
Yeah, but
it's just as worthless.
It's just an example, yes.
Yeah,
but the thing is, like, he should be able to figure out. He has the time stone. He has infinite time to think about this. Like, the problem is when you give a good person this power, you can't half-ass it. There needs to be an actual logical thing that they do with this power. Which is why in the comics he was just evil, because then you don't have to write all these reasons why, or he has so much logic behind his reason. It's like, no, he just wants to kill people.
No, Thanos has no basic education. With all the super technology he has around him, you would think that somebody knows the basics of an ecosphere. But
I don't even think that was supposed to be the direction they wanted to take him in the MCU. Because, like, if you watch all the teasing from the early stuff, he was clearly built up to be a bad guy.
Yeah, that was proper evil. He was all proper evil in those.
Like, he was always evil when he showed up in those little scenes.
And I can understand. Okay, if they went, assuming that, okay, let's go with the give him some character and feelings route, then he would have needed a better plan. And a still controversial plan. The problem is, in order to do that, you need writers that can come up with that. You can't write a character that's smarter than you. This is something very, very difficult. Those are characters you can allude to, but you can't write them out with the explicit dialogue. And that's the mistake they made. If you put Thanos front and center, and you don't know how to write him smart, then just write him as a proper villain who wants shit. Go with the comic Thanos who's in love with death and wants to impress her by killing half the universe. There.
Yes. See, this is like the proper. This is what you could maybe call edgy. It's like the comic cheese. It's like, oh, I want to impress death itself, so I'm gonna kill a bunch of people.
Yeah, so she becomes my waifu, and then Death goes like, "Are you fucking retarded?"
Yeah, Death rejects him. She doesn't like Sims.
That would have been a wonderful movie and a wonderful end scene. And you know what? It might have even appeased the SJWs, because the woman is turning down the big muscle man.
True.
All right, let's stop talking about that film and get back, hopefully, to his idea of what a good villain is because of nuance.
About anything he's doing other than he's trying to kill people.
He's
and
mad.
He's like bad and stuff. He's boring.
He's
For
lost his
anyone
mind.
Comments that he's explained in season 2. This doesn't make him not boring. That just makes him a boring villain with a mildly interesting backstory. Same with the whale and the dogs and the rabbits. And this is actually why Rem was a really interesting villain at the start of ReZero until it was like, haha.
She's not a villain. Even
Again,
there,
she doesn't
was
know
not a
what
villain.
what the difference is between antagonist and villain.
Yeah. Rem was doing her job. Protecting the mansion from weird creatures that might bring harm to the people she is told to protect. That's not a villain.
Also, the animals, like the monsters, are not villains either. Like I don't know. Why would you classify an animal as a villain? It was just something they had to fight. The animals are not characters. Yeah, like the whale is not a character. It's a boss fight.
Dogs and stuff, sure, all of these things are supposedly tied into the witch somehow, but again, why the fuck does she care? We don't know. We literally don't know. We don't have a reason to care because we don't know why she cares. She's just there. You're probably like, we don't need to know about her yet. She's a mystery. That's the fucking point, so-called king of weeaboos. And yes, we do. A mystery is fine, great even, but if we don't have a reason to care about it, then it's no longer a mystery, but instead...
Are you
No, it's not a mystery.
Is he retarded right now? Is he trying to explain what a mystery is and the importance of a mystery in any character?
He is pissed that the mystery has still not revealed to him, been revealed to him yet. That's why it's now not a mystery. Because he's upset that he's still not getting his candy.
Why is the mysterious, seductive woman not revealing every secret she has so I can understand her better? I don't know. That's her point.
Like he keeps saying he needs answers in order to care about these things, even though it's clearly a him thing and he hasn't explained it still. Like everybody else somehow is able to care about all these things and get really invested in the story. But you, for some reason, can't. And you haven't explained why.
Yeah, the way he's upset indicates that the only crime show he could enjoy is Columbo.
I'm trying to think of like Princess Bride. Everything in that story works. Every character works. Like the Miracle Max guy and the witch. We have no idea how the Miracle Max guy knows anything about bringing people back from death, or why the witch knows that as well. All we know is that he doesn't like Prince Humperdinck, and he'll do whatever it takes to bring him down. Is that what he wants? Just any basic reason? He dislikes Prince Humperdinck. No problem. I'm on your side. Like, would he get pissed off if it's not enough? If it makes no sense? Like, what would make sense to him? What does he need?
A woman loves a guy. Oh, wow.
Why? Why does he love her? Or why does she love him?
Do you know how hormones work?
I mean, there's probably a dozen reasons, but like...
Or obsession?
Like, there's lots of reasons why guys like girls and vice versa.
Why is the fat, green-haired, borderline chick obsessed with you? Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. She's destroying your life because you're not returning her feelings. Bam.
Like it's so weird to like look at the plot and like clearly the major mystery of the plot and say, I want the answer right now. I want the answer. Otherwise, I don't care. It's like
you're a child. You're worse than a child.
Like this just makes me think back to the fact that he used Mushoku Tensei as a positive example for things that he thinks are good. But then I have to think like, so is according to him is Orsted a bad character? Because we don't know what he wants
because
yet.
he kills.
It hasn't been revealed.
But because he kills Rudius, so he's a bad character. Also, there's the mass teleportation event. That's a mystery. It's horrible. It's still not explained. How dare that anime?
Yeah, does he not care about that too, or does he care about that? And if he does care about that, then
and who did it? And who's this man god guy? It's horrible.
Yeah, we don't know what he wants. He's so bad.
My God.
All right.
My God. I'm saying worse than a child because there are children who, instead of getting upset that they are not told the secret, find it awesome that they get a new hint at what the secret is. And then they start to speculate and love the speculation game and everything. And that's what we got in that episode. We got some new information about the witch, and there are visual cues about her that tell us some things about her and what she's on about, and we can come up with a million theories about that, and that is interesting.
The most interesting thing about the anime's existence is that it confirms that she literally has the exact same voice as Emilia too, which obviously raises a lot.
She has the same hair ornaments.
Yeah, but that's the thing is like before, obviously through text, it's just like, okay, they look the same. But then when you watch the anime and they also sound the same and have the exact same voice, that's when things get really interesting, when you start thinking about some stuff.
And you look at Echidna and she's like an evil twin of her.
Yeah, like the thing we talked about with where she just started crying for some reason.
Yeah, so what's going on there? What is their actual connection?
Nothing is explained. I can't care, Wisp. It's so bad. I can't care.
It's a really complex story. Like even if you had it only in text, it would be a soup, and you would take out all the trope stuff and all of that, and just look at the at the superstructure of the story. It would still be a very, very tangled up chart. It would be very complex. Who is in what relation to whom? What happens at what time? This is not a kid's story.
It's not boring by any means.
No.
Okay.
And this guy doesn't know what a mystery is.
Don't know about. Take Attack on Titan.
No.
Where they're coming from, but they have to find out because they're fucking.
They come from the outside. That's all we need to know in the beginning. They come from the outside. They're outside. That's why we have the fucking wall.
Is he about to say that the Titans are the villains? They're not really. They're not villains either. They're just the force of nature. They're a monster. Monsters are not villains. This is not how it works. A monster doesn't have a character. It's just a thing you fight. It's an antagonistic force, but it's not a villain in a story.
It's a predator. Like a predator isn't a villain.
Yeah.
The ghost and the darkness, those are villains. They are just animals, but they're animals with intellect and intent that goes beyond the mere animal. That's what makes them special.
Yes.
But the Titans, they're just mindless forces.
Them. And also it does start steadily giving us more episode. Whereas 2 seasons into ReZero, and all we really know about the witch is that she has something to do with Subaru, and all the evil stuff is connected with her, and she's like evil and stuff, supposedly. Where is the motivation?
She's wearing the same dress, you idiot.
Yeah. Where is the motivation? Why do
also now he's making a weird comparison because she's saying like in 3 chapters or something that the Attack on Titan reveals stuff. So Attack on Titan is a shonen manga, is the source material. ReZero is a novel. This is a novel with like how many volumes? There's like 20 volumes or something right now, or I think. So you're comparing a shonen manga, which is obviously way less than a novel, and therefore would reveal things faster because it's a shorter story. It's less material.
Yeah.
And you're saying that the novel with who knows how many volumes and hundreds of pages is not going fast enough for you?
Yeah, I'm going to have to compare this again to The Skeleton Couldn't Protect the Dungeon, because it's the same premise of whenever he dies, he gets reset back to the dungeon. And we don't know very much until later on about his necromancer that keeps, like, who cast this spell on him. And even when we do learn about her, we don't know exactly why she's fighting aside from to survive, which you could have figured that out by virtue of fighting. Everyone has to survive in a fight. So yeah, she has these other forces that are stronger than her and she has to defend against that, but that's about it. We don't need anything more because her role in the story is sufficient. We don't, like, the same with the witch. Why does she have this mysterious connection with him? It's like, maybe the writer doesn't know yet. Maybe the writer's going to get to that later. Is it that important that there's these metaphysical connections between other characters with magic and nuance? Like, not really.
It is sufficient to give the hint, because the hint is what keeps you invested.
It's
the thing is, if you spell out too much of the mystery, if you spill the mystery, then the magic goes away.
It's not necessary. This is not what the story is about. It's like with Mary Poppins. How does Mary Poppins fly? How does she know how to sing so well? It's like, that's her thing. It's not, the story is not about Mary Poppins. It's about the family she's with and their problems and how they deal with them. And this is why we say a Mary Poppins is a Mary Sue. That's okay, because she's not the focus of the story. You're not there to figure her out. She's just there to push the story along and get
She's a vehicle.
Yeah, to get the characters to talk to each other and figure out their problems.
Yeah. And you can watch ReZero also from a different perspective, in which Subaru is there to support Emilia and ensure that she makes it and gets to her character development, her progression. Because if Subaru isn't there, she dies.
Yes. Also, again, like, if his point is just that the things are not revealed fast enough, I have to say, again, with Attack on Titan, because that's the example he used, the reason why it reveals stuff way faster is because it's a Shonen Jump manga. And the way these work is that if there's not enough interest in the first few chapters, they get cancelled. And then there's no more story. Whereas a novel that comes from a web novel, the author is allowed to let things cook. He can make a slow burn story because he's not gonna get cancelled just because, like, somebody didn't like one chapter. He's under no threat in that regard. When you make a Shonen Jump or Shonen Jump manga, you might be. If there's really low interest in that one chapter, you might be gone. So there's obviously a discrepancy in how they can write their stories and why one gets answers faster than the other.
How does Shonen Jump measure that?
There's like, I don't know where exactly they take the statistics, but I think it's from the magazine. Because, like, they have, like, the magazine where they print all the first few chapters of all the new stuff. I think it's a Japan only thing. And you buy that magazine and you can read all the chapters there. It's like popularity measured. So if people don't like the new manga that you're making, that's just it for you.
So they go by manga sales after the release of the magazine?
Yes.
Okay.
All right.
Huh.
Let's keep on going.
Him? Not only does this, again, not matter, and not only, again, do we not even know why Subaru matters, the motivation this creates is for him to not tell anyone. So basically, this has literally nothing to do with anything in the story.
The motivation it creates is for him to not tell anyone. What? He still can't tell anyone.
Tell people, he just can't.
He's motivated.
It's not a motivation. His motivation is to tell people.
Yeah, you can't be motivated to do nothing. That doesn't make too much sense.
That's the entire reason why he has that scene with Echidna where he breaks down and just tells her everything. Because it's the first time he was able to tell someone. He has all the motivation to want to tell people about it, but he's not allowed to.
This guy doesn't understand what the motivation is. Should we start a dictionary of words
All
that
the
we
words he doesn't
understand?
understand.
Can you imagine a plot? My plot is I'm not going to do anything. It's like, why? Because I have so much motivation.
Because I like books.
That's why he likes it, because it's so relatable.
My motivation is not to do the thing I want to do.
I guess like, that's something.
That's what he said.
Oh. Anyway.
Fucking hell.
He just shuts the fuck up about it. How that's different. There isn't a real reason for us to care. There isn't even enough incentive for Subaru to ask her literally any question. Like, say, what is return from death? Or, why do you care? Or, who are you? Or even, what the fuck? No, instead, he merely vows he'll save her for some fucking reason. She does.
You know why? Because we've gone through this, and you even said so yourself. He wants to save people. He thinks he's lower than them. He wants to uplift people and help them so that he
Well,
has
it's also
value.
because she saved him. Like, again, we talked about this last time. The entire point of this scene is all the witches explaining to him what she wanted to do. Like, we have the reason why. We just don't have the deeper why as to why him specifically and why she knows Subaru. That's the only thing we don't know. But as to why he has the ability, we do know. She said it. She doesn't want him to die. That's the explanation.
Couples misunderstanding.
Also, the fucking the space that they're into when they're talking is literally vanishing and everyone is disappearing. He doesn't have time to ask her all these questions.
Yeah,
He
so
probably
it's
would have if
reserved
he had more
for
time.
what is more important than those questions.
Yeah, like the last thing he wanted to tell her is that he's gonna save her, because that was the most important thing at that moment.
But hey, you're talking to someone who thinks it's he's better off if all his family dies. Because then he gets all their stuff or something.
All right, let's keep going.
I hope he knows how to cook.
He's just there. Here's where you might be like, wait, we can have a looming mysterious evil, it's only there for the sake of being evil. Lots of fantasy stories do this. Look at Lord of the Rings. Sauron is just evil, and that's true. Sauron is really vague and evil, but as far as the actual characters are concerned, the bad guy in Lord of the Rings isn't Sauron, it's the Ring. The evil in Lord of the Rings.
The Ring is the evil character? Are you sure about that?
Again, he doesn't understand words. Now he's saying that the villain of Lord of the Rings is the Ring. The Ring is not a villain; it's an object. He doesn't understand story terms. He doesn't understand writing terms.
The Ring does have its own will, yes, but it is not a
It's not a
villain.
villain.
It is. You could. I wouldn't even call it. It's. You can't even call it an antagonist.
It's like a force of
similar-
nature.
It's similarly just a force of nature. It does what it does because that's what it's supposed to do.
Yeah, this is why we have the character on the screen called Saruman, who's the personification of Sauron, even though it's not the same person. So we can identify.
Even though they have confusingly similar names, which messed me up as a child.
Yes, very much so. So we have all these villains in this. There's plenty of villains in the story, antagonists even. So that's not the problem with Lord of the Rings of having too many villains. There's lots of characters in general. So having a disembodied head like a spotlight for the main or symbolically as the main bad guy is fine. Doesn't detract from anything.
Isn't an evil wizard, it's the corrupting presence of the Ring. It's how each of the characters succumb to the lure of power and how it affects those around them. Men like Boromir are the first to go, but then he trumps.
Maybe he gets his trope definitions from Red.
No, I think he's
Oh no.
he's just dumb.
Last moments as he gives up his pride. One fears is not Sauron, but the corrupting power of the Ring.
This is weird because Sauron is barely anything. You can't really quantify it. The same way you could barely quantify the Ring. They're both two forces of nature that are just there, and we don't understand exactly how they operate.
Most people in this world don't know Saruman exists, don't know the ring exists. They don't even know Gandalf exists.
Nor they know what it does. Not even Frodo knows what it does, aside from when he puts it on, he goes invisible and can walk in the shadows and see all the ring wraiths and all that jazz.
This is why I thought, like, when Wisp said agency, I'm still lingering on that because it's such a good point to, like, determine who the villain in the story is. Because the villain, like, the ring has no agency. Like you said, it does what it was made to do, but it doesn't have a goal. It doesn't want anything.
It has a goal. It seeks to return to its master, which is Sauron.
Yeah, but it's not really under its own agency. It's just what it's supposed to do.
It only picks up on opportunity.
Yeah,
and so that takes 10,000 years of lying in a fucking riverbed.
It's essentially like a virus. It's completely inanimate, and then something touches it and it comes to life.
I would say it's almost more like an instinct than a goal.
You could say it once in a while it jumps from host to host because the current host isn't really bringing it where it wants to be. Like, okay, cool. The Hobbit guy found me in the riverbed. Finally, 1,000 years after this war where I got lost. Cool. Oh fuck! Now he's sitting in a cave for 3,000 years eating fish heads. Oh, there's another Hobbit coming along. Yeah, okay, I'll go to that guy. Maybe that does something. Oh, now I'm sitting in the stupid village for 100 years.
Anyway.
And then finally we get on a journey.
Anyway, to argue that the ring is the villain is wrong. I'm sorry, it's just wrong.
The ring is the tool to defeat the villain.
Because we see this power grow, Frodo gets closer and closer to Mordor, and even he falls.
The ring is an extremely interesting piece of writing, because it is at the same time all the power of the villain, but also his greatest weak point. And you can carry it around. You can use it for your own purposes. It will corrupt you.
Right.
But you can also try to destroy it.
It's slowly eating away at your willpower to be good. And that is not a villain. That's like it's like a force of nature. It's like poison.
Yeah.
The more you consume it, the worse you get.
Yeah, but it's like the phylactery of a lich. It's the essence.
Freudian slip with witch there.
Yeah, but it is the nexus of power of the actual villain.
Yeah,
and it has both extremes. It's the greatest power, and it is also the greatest weak point. That's not a villain in itself.
It's kind of like the villain's gun. It's just a very powerful weapon that has a lot of different magical properties, but that's about it. Okay.
He falls to its influence at the very end. In ReZero, not only is Subaru's corrupting influence by nature hidden from almost everyone but himself, all the physical villains are just, bad guy do bad thing, or in this case, bad dog do bad thing. But then again,
the crazy and possessed.
You can probably guess what I'm gonna say next.
Nope.
That's right. This is how Subaru sees the world. He's giving up his life in horribly painful endings to cartoonishly evil villains to save all the waifus. And with this in mind, then, just like...
Oh, what you of course wouldn't do, because you think you're better off if all the people around you die. Because then you get their stuff.
I'm not seeing the problem with the hero being... or trying to be the hero. What's wrong?
Subaru is also not very successful in any of that. So
yeah.
I once again, I don't know where he's going with this.
Yeah.
This guy has no empathy.
We get that Subaru is weak, but he still tries to be the right person, even if he fails. That's kind of his thing. If he doesn't like that, that's fine. But the rest of us see the value in, he's trying to do the right thing, and he's really bad at it, and we see the struggle. This is what you have in stories. You have struggles. You have the characters, whether they're experts or children or novices, and they go up a ramp. They go up this scale of either power or ability or skill, and they get better. And along the way, they fail. It happens in pretty much every story. If it was just success, 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 it would be a Mary Sue.
And you learn nothing. And no, I skipped the martial arts story. It's fun though. Another time.
All right.
Of a wanker. The true villain here is Subaru.
I don't know where he's going with this.
Where is he going with this?
I don't.
Because he believes the accusation is because he believes this accusation against Subaru is true.
Who's the protagonist then?
Subaru is not suicidal.
What is happening right now? Is story just we're watching an anti-hero? Like, what is going on?
He needs to retitle this video of what makes a good dictionary, because he doesn't know what.
The encyclopedia I never read, yeah.
He's struggling against himself because he doesn't love himself. It all comes back to this self-righteous bullshit he's doing as an excuse for not loving himself. Why is the show crammed with so much gratuitous torture porn? Self-righteous bullshit.
No.
Why are all the waifus so stupid and waifu? Self-righteous bullshit. Why are all
What does that mean?
villains so cartoon?
Wait. What does that have? What? Okay. Assuming the waifus are self-righteous bullshit, what does that have to do with Subaru being self-righteous?
Usually, when you have an element of the main character having a theme like that example, like self-righteousness or self-confidence or whatever, and other characters have that same either flaw or virtue, that's called normal. That's what you do in stories. You focus on the thing you're trying to tell the story about, and you reflect that, and you compare that with another character who either has the same issue, has a version of the same issue, or has the opposite problem, meaning they're so righteous, they're so virtuous, and that's all they know, and that's what you do. It's very simple technique. So for him to argue the women are women, or whatever he means by waifu in this, that's fine. There's nothing wrong with attractive women or whatever who have the same problem. You're like, and how is that bad? That's what you're supposed to do. If you had waifus who had another problem or who had another virtue, you'd be like, that's nice, but that doesn't relate to Subaru. It doesn't relate to the theme that the main character is going through. Why even do that unless there's a thematic reason for a new theme or a new conflict? So you can't just have all these characters running around with all their plots because it doesn't connect. You're wasting everyone's time. You're forcing us to listen to different frequencies of humanity. Because, I don't know, you wanted to have Tom Bombadil, who's a god, but he's actually, the ring? Pfft, I don't care about the ring. That's nothing to me. I'm here to contrast Frodo and say, look, dude, this is not an issue. You gotta look at the bigger picture here, buddy. I don't care about your little problem with men and orcs and all that crap. That's nothing to me. Put things into perspective. So I don't know what his problem is here.
I will go down further the Thanos route and say he doesn't like saving people. He wants to be selfish. And he rather relates to selfish people. Mine, in Bookworm, is a very selfish person for most of the time. Yeah. She's superficially doing stuff for other people, but mainly she all does it for her personal goal of having books.
Yeah, and
Cyber in the chat also put it well. He said, the problem is clearly, why does he have to be self-sacrificing? Why can't he be like Captain Marvel and do only what he wants with no care of whomever he harms? That would be more relatable, like Thanos.
Also, I'm still stuck on his last point he just made, where he said that it's self-righteous for the waifus to be stupid or something, which, again, nonsense argument. But how does the way Subaru acts, what does that have to do with how other characters are written? I'm trying to comprehend.
Is not self-righteous? Beetlejuice is self-righteous. Subaru isn't. Subaru is genuinely good, or tries to.
My head.
This guy doesn't know what words mean.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember. Who's the one of the main female characters in...
Thanos is self-righteous.
In Mushoku Tensei, there was the sword girl. What's her name?
The redhead?
Yeah, well, she's not too bright. She's only good at fighting. And she's very pig-headed and stupid. and she doesn't understand human relationships. Even when she wants one, she runs away or goes away because she thinks she's inadequate, and that shatters Rudius's heart. And if she was smart and mature, then that scene would be like, oh, it's a nice scene. They love each other and they're going to be together. But instead, she's dumb and insecure, and she runs away because she thinks she's not good enough for him. And he's completely distraught for like the entire...
It just shatters him ultimately.
Yeah, and if you were to say that, well, because of her stupidity, I mean, it's a horrible character. It's like, no, that's what you needed to do for that scene. The function of that scene was for her to be that character. You needed her to be naive and break his heart.
She's a very well-written brat. I hate her.
Yeah.
It also introduces the fact that it serves the purpose of being Rudius' first breakup, because he hasn't been in a relationship before.
Yeah.
So he experiences, even if it's a misunderstanding, it helps him get over this, so that he has the experience that he didn't have before. It's a learning moment for him. It's a learning moment for both of them, I'm sure, when they're gonna meet again.
Yeah. So
the whole thing is he felt utterly used by her afterwards, because she forced herself on him, and then she disappears. Like, what the fuck was that? That's your first experience. That is your first sexual experience.
And
that is your first moment of intimacy.
Like this really cryptic letter that doesn't explain what she actually thought at all, because she doesn't know how to express herself.
Yeah. If that is your first such experience in life, it fucks you up. And it's no wonder you get erectile dysfunction from that. Well, because that's his body, his subconscious, protecting himself from being traumatized by a relationship again. That's what that is.
Well, to bring it back to the story, there's nothing wrong with having waifus who are dumb, because that's usually the point.
But that isn't even true. It's just one of this nonsense.
Yeah, he doesn't like them, therefore they're dumb.
The shark teeth mate was not dumb.
Yeah, exactly. Okay.
Just bullshit. Why does Subaru think being loud is the same thing as being emotional? You fucking guessed it.
Why are you being loud all the time?
What is he? Because Subaru gets emotional, he's loud, and that's bad. Like, what are you talking about again?
That's not a contradiction. Also, he was having like an actual breakdown at that moment. He was yelling out all of the frustrations he's been carrying for years in his old life.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's not self-righteous, and it's not an excuse for being emotional. It is emotional.
Right.
I'm getting worried about this guy being unable to relate to people.
He doesn't know what emotions are. Oh, well, maybe he does, but he doesn't know what the individual emotions are and how they work.
Yeah, I'm going back to my high school when I mentioned that High Flight poem I didn't get. Imagine if the poem was like 2 seasons of an anime, and I just could not grasp it for like 2 years. And I'm like, what's wrong with me? What's wrong with how this thing? Nothing is any good anymore. I hate isekai. And then I watch another anime about some girl who reads books, and I'm like, oh, it makes so much sense. Like, okay, human emotion. What is that? I don't get it. It's too loud.
You think this guy could watch Karikano?
No. That would be too hard. He'd be like,
oh no.
He'd be like, why are they chasing if they hate each other? It doesn't make any sense.
Tyler Preston in the chat said, I'm starting to miss Noralities and her brand of stupidity. At least you can kind of understand what she's saying.
Yeah, she's a pervert. We get it.
Yeah.
I mean, the thing is, he's actually right, because at least with her you understand that all her perspectives come from hypocrisy, and that she looks at it from a perspective she doesn't like men. So yeah, you can kind of understand what her points are. With this guy, I have no idea what he actually it just makes no sense.
Oh, it's not that Noralities doesn't like men, it's that she wants all men to be gay.
Okay, anyway, let's keep going.
Well, I mean, she wanted Subaru to kill himself because he's selfish.
Well, he tried to.
What are these transitions, buddy? Like, what are you doing? What is this?
What is he doing?
He's abusing his anime dolls.
So now's the part of the video where you're probably...
How can you complain about waifus but buy anime dolls?
Oh, let's not go there.
I'm confused.
If you put all this time into explaining how it's actually kind of genius, why do you hate it? Does this not explain away all of the problems you have with ReZero? And yeah, kind of, but here's the thing. Well, first, if you're the kind of weeb who enjoys the campy bullshit that ReZero revolves around, this is almost certainly your favorite anime of all time, and I respect that. I do. Or if you're the kind...
No, you don't.
Do you know what campy means?
You clearly hate this anime and anyone associated
How
with
is
it.
ReZero campy in any way? It's not campy.
I watched the Van Helsing movie from 2004 with Hugh Jackman. I remember I have seen parts of that on TV when it came out, but that is campy. That is good campy, proper good campy. ReZero has very little campiness.
Yeah, we're talking about the quality of a cheap production value of a thing, relying on a trope to carry the scene, and that's whatever cheap production value of music, visual production value, whatever that is. And you saw that with Trigun, the first 10 episodes. That was just goofy, silly shit.
That was comedy.
And then relying on silly tropes, and then it got into drama and focused on action and drama.
And you had to, but the comedy part was also to give you a feel for the world, how the world works. The first few bits and pieces of that.
Yeah, in a normal way. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and then you could trickle in more and more of the background. And I like how old anime took its time with these things.
I guess that's one way of looking at it. A lot of people didn't like the first half just because it was so different from the last. So, but people like the characters. People like the setup.
I love both.
Yeah. Anyway, this is hopefully the last part. And why he ended with this, I don't know. He should have started with this, but okay.
Enjoys really sick animation with a lot of just really solid to you, and honestly, that's fucking fair. Not everything has to be so goddamn intellectual.
Stop swearing, dude. Just calm down. Why are you?
No, he's now being honest. He's saying not everything needs to be so intellectual. The show is too smart for him.
Yes.
He admits the show is too smart for him.
I think if he's swearing,
come back in 20 years.
If he's this angry, something wrong. Something is like you don't say, I totally respect your opinion, you goddamn son of a bitch. Like it's like, okay, calm down. What is wrong with you?
Yeah, but Smart. It's literally the thing that you said. He is upset that he doesn't understand it. He feels dumb watching ReZero because he doesn't understand what's going on.
I think he feels dumb staring at a wall sometimes. I don't think this is going to help him watching anime.
There are 10-hour videos on YouTube where you can watch paint dry.
Yeah, I know. They have good music
Maybe
sometimes.
you should watch that.
Yeah, that's true.
But for me, two things. No, actually, three things. Number one is it doesn't matter how deep it is. If it uses a lot of dumb bullshit to tell its story, that doesn't make it good. That makes it a deep story with a lot of dumb bullshit.
What? What are you talking?
What does that even mean?
So Star Wars has a lot of the first episode for it, a lot of science fiction tropes. It's campy as heck. It's
from today's point of view, yes.
Well, you could go back to the 70s and watch some of the weirder, lower budget ones where Buck Rogers and what have you. It's very comparable.
Dude, Mom and Dad Save the World had the same budget as New Hope, and that looks campy.
Yeah.
Also, the problem is again that he didn't define any of these terms. So him saying dumb bullshit is very worthless.
It's so
because
subjective.
anything can be dumb bullshit. Yeah, I can't call anything dumb bullshit.
Look at
I can say the entirety of Bookworm is dumb bullshit because it's just about books.
Look at the practical effects or makeup in the cantina scene in Star Wars. That's dumb bullshit. You could tell it's all fake. It's all people wearing masks. Like, woo.
They have sound and space. That's dumb bullshit.
Yep.
It's like, this is such a useless description.
Yeah, they fire their thrusters in order to land on a planet instead of pushing the brakes.
All right.
So
Nuance being the nuance, well, what I'd personally call good storytelling, but maybe that's just me. I don't know. Number 2 is that
is
this
you.
approach
It is
only
you.
goes so far because the story doesn't revolve around Subaru. It's more about all of the shit happening around Subaru because we still have no idea why the fuck Subaru is there or why he's even important to the story and the world at large. He's just there. If Subaru really was the center of this story, we'd be having...
If Subaru wasn't there, the world would end. The apocalypse would happen.
Because Emilia dies and then Puck destroys the world.
Yeah. And the first couple milestones, it's just postponed a little bit.
Yes.
Because Emilia needs to get to her point where she finds her inner strength.
We'd be having a completely different conversation right now. But in most of the story, not all of it, but most of it, he's the vehicle for the plot, not the plot itself. It's a subtle but very important difference. So then number
sure?
3 is it all comes back to the bad.
Yeah, is he the vehicle of the plot? Because if he doesn't do things, then the world ends? Or is Emilia the vehicle of the plot because that's why Subaru does things?
Even if he is, that's not a bad story. It doesn't make it a bad setup or a bad character or a bad protagonist. There's plenty of characters throughout all kinds of stories who aren't the focus of the narrative. Like, as I said, Mary Poppins, she's not the focus. She's just the maid. She's the help to make the family operate. Those are the characters, the main characters of the story, and she's just the magical, whimsical helper who's got the solution for everything. If only you listen to her and sing when you're sad, or feed the pigeons.
She's the blue fairy.
Or what? She's a magical, motherly character. So there's plenty of. We talk about Mad Max 2 a lot. We talk about the ensemble cast in Bebop and all these other stories that are not protagonist focused, even though they have protagonists.
Also, like what he's trying to say with the thing that Subaru, like the story isn't about him, and he's just a vehicle. Even if that's true, like the protagonist being a vehicle for the reader to experience the story is very common. It's not a bad thing.
Yeah.
This is a very common thing for a protagonist to be our view into the world, into the story.
Yeah, look at how many entire seasons, if not chapters of Berserk, where the focus is not Guts. Guts pops in here and there, but it's mostly about his ensemble cast behind him, the witches and the fairies and all these other characters are just there.
So that we care about them.
Yes.
So there's plenty.
They're not just props.
There's
plenty. If they don't get backstory, they're most likely the relationship that you have to them is as if to a prop.
Yeah, there's plenty of examples, and I write about the focus on the protagonist and antagonist in my previous book, where I talk about a simple story needs at least 2 characters, but you can have that role fulfilled in different plots with different characters. There's nothing wrong with that, so long as it comes back to the main plot, which is the focus. So, unless you just want to tell a story of episodes where random things happen to random people in the same universe, that's fine too. So it depends on how you want to approach your writing or how you want to approach a story, and both are acceptable. This guy has a very narrow view, not only for isekai but for stories as a whole. And this is what the problem I see fundamentally is he's going on a higher level of argument when he should have a lower level argument, or a slightly lower argument, because we're talking about story as a whole, and then he's going into genre. And I don't know why he's mixing these two up, because
he doesn't know where his limitations are. He thinks he understands more than he does.
I don't know what he understands. It's kind of hard to grasp.
He overestimates his ability is the problem.
Grade school
We should
English?
have a talk with his teacher.
Grammar? Not to swear every other sentence? Like, that would be nice.
Listening comprehension.
Oh, no, you can't make someone smarter by telling them. Anyway.
No, that's not what I mean. He lacks listening comprehension or reading comprehension.
Test, which it fails by design for sure, but it
Why?
fails
How?
really, really hard. Now again,
Your test
you
is
might
shit.
be like, wait, if this entire thing is about Subaru and his self-righteous bullshit, doesn't this mean it actually passes this test? and sort of. He's a nobody who selfishly makes
God.
What is this? What is this nonsense? If you think that your argument is kind of wrong, sort of wrong, 50% wrong, maybe you need a new argument. Why would you even go with this? If I had a belief that, I don't know.
Need a new video for the algorithm, and I had the script half done. Then I noticed that it's stupid.
Yeah.
Can we pull it back real quick? I want to hear the full sentence again, because that was so stupid.
All right.
Entire thing is about Subaru and his self-righteous bullshit. Doesn't this mean it actually passes this test? And sort of. He's a nobody.
So it fails the test, but actually it passes the test. What does that mean?
It fails the test by passing it.
Yeah.
Do you know what words mean?
This is what he did in the beginning, though. He says it's a really well-written story, but it's bad, or it doesn't work.
Yes, it's really good, but really bad. It's like, what?
It's meaningful.
I think this is why. This is the type of person who falls for Hegelian dialectic bullshit.
I don't know. This is no. You can't go that far. There's no way he even knows what that is. So
yeah, of course he doesn't know what that is, but it's all the ideological bullshit that's derived from that. That is the same level of contradictory. That is all about things being true and not true at the same time. That goes into this double think stuff.
This is just a classic case of someone that thinks they are way smarter than they are. I think that's what this is.
Yeah,
like
that's why people like that. That's why people like that are susceptible to that.
Okay, let's keep going.
Actually makes himself the protagonist of. Passes question 1, kind of, maybe, but then it undermines this with all the dumb bullshit. Let's say
what
the
dumb
jury's
bullshit?
Out on this one, but also remember the point is that he doesn't matter, so it still handily fails.
What are you talking about? He does what? It fails because it doesn't matter. What is that?
He still believes Subaru's existence in that world doesn't matter. You know, the world that
he saved?
Stops existing if he isn't there and fixes things.
Yeah. He might think he doesn't matter. Yeah, he might think he doesn't matter, but the story clearly needs him. The universe clearly needs him. The characters clearly need him. You could argue a protagonist has a supporting role, fine. In their other plots, that's fine. You could have Commander Shepard help out other characters in Mass Effect to fix their problems, their daddy issues. Great, you can do that. They're good stories.
I've never been so desperate with covering one of these videos for him to just elaborate. I don't even care if it's bad arguments. Just tell us what you mean, please. What do any of these words mean that you're saying? What do you mean by them? What is the self-righteous bullshit? What is the dumb bullshit? Why does it not matter? Explain, please.
I stopped writing stuff down because it's too much. Like every other thing he says is just like, why did you say that? What do you mean? How is this? Like, it's just the most basic shit. Like, how did you come to that conclusion? I just stopped. So I have a page of questions from yesterday. I'll just use that to post because I'll just say I forgot what we saw in the first 10 minutes. I couldn't be bothered to respond to the last 10 minutes because your stuff is so crap. Are
you gonna ask him questions? Are you gonna leave a comment on the original video?
Yeah, I'll leave a comment. That's fine. But they're all just like, what do you mean by this? What is that? How did this? That's not what happened in this story. Why? Like, it's just basic shit. So who cares?
Question 2. So what does this all mean? Why would I go on a huge rant to explain why a story that I personally
please
think
explain
is
to us.
is actually super deep and meaningful? Who the fuck would do that? What am I even saying? Am I saying that the author?
Thank you. Thank you so. Just admit that you're an idiot. Just. I have no clue. What am I talking about? It's meaningful yet meaningless. Blah 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 blah. Yeah, you're an idiot. We get it.
Came up with a brilliant story about self-respect, but deliberately wrote it kind of badly because the average weeaboo cares more about hot waifus and exciting isekai fantasy than intelligent, nuanced characters, that weebs might relate more to a blank everyman protagonist who's so ordinary he's literally isekai'd on his way back.
If that's what it was about, then people would love Isekai Cheat Magician. Because that's what you want. You want to watch Isekai Cheat Magician. That's the Isekai you want, because that's all the stuff you want.
Let's not try to figure out.
Would technically mean that the Overlord is the most popular Isekai, because there's like constant action there. And there's like all these big magic fights and big monsters. Like,
it's got some waifus. It's here and there.
Yeah,
also creepy horror stuff.
There, yeah, there's some horror stuff. There's some dumb bullshit gore or whatever he would say.
Oh yeah, what is his definition of bullshit for Overlord? Yeah, who knows?
From the or who doesn't have any real superpowers but still manages to succeed anyway.
Yes.
He just doesn't give up and gets surrounded by an alarming amount of waifu bullshit that are entire reason.
It's not bullshit.
What is the so he says wife so
Is waifu bullshit?
I think
just
it wasn't
female
clear
characters existing around Subaru. Is that the waifu bullshit?
Yeah, because I want to know, because waifu bullshit implies action. It sounds like a verb. So what is the? Is it? What are they doing? Is it what the waifus are doing? Did I miss that, or is it just that there are?
It literally just means that there's a female cast.
Yeah, I mean,
there's female characters that exist around him.
We like to have.
Well, he sounds like quite a misogynist, then, doesn't he?
We like to have the beautiful creatures in our fantasy to be, beautiful creatures and have some degree of wish fulfillment. When you're the everyman and you have no skills and this is like par for the course. Nothing to do with isekai, just in general manga. If you look at any of these stories of high school kids or shonen, there's always like at least 2 or 3 attractive characters, male or female, going throughout the story. That's not bullshit.
Also, he rejects them. Like, even just in the first season, he rejects Ram. And when he has like the conversation after the whale fight with Krush, he says that if he wasn't already like in love with Emilia and wasn't already liking Ram, he would have liked her, but he turned her down. Like, he actively rejects the female cast. He doesn't love them. He cares about them platonically, but like, how is it waifu stuff when he doesn't actually like them back?
Yeah,
and they don't like him either. Like, Beatrice, the entire first season and a long time into the second season, doesn't actually like him. Ram doesn't like him for a long time. Like,
but how is it bad that there's so many attractive women? Like, this I don't understand, especially in a fantasy story.
Is that his argument, that they're attractive?
Well, I don't know what he means by waifus per se being bullshit, because I mean, this is
I don't know what he means by waifu bullshit. Does he mean that there's female characters in the story that exist around the MC? Does he mean they are attractive? Does he mean they somehow are romantically interested in the protagonist? Like, what does he mean? He doesn't elaborate.
Yeah, because there's nothing wrong. Like, even with Neon Genesis Evangelion, they got some waifus in there before the term was a thing. What's wrong with having women being women? Like, there's nothing wrong. I see nothing wrong with having that. Oh, Ritsu's in a different outfit, or Mitsuko is wearing civvies. So, yeah, she has a life. That's the story. It's the story of her life in her apartment and how they deal with the next problem. So, if that's what you call like fan service or back in the day, and they even made jokes about that, it's like, just like, so what? It's what the people want. It's what readers or watchers of any show want, the thing they're being sold on. So give me the attractive people, give me the fun action scenes, the playful women who are waifus or seductresses or whatever. I would rather them be seductresses and whatever than to not have that conflict.
I will also add that if you do not remain stuck in your room and go out into the world and have the adventure that is life, you will, not all at once, but you will come across this in your life, that you will meet people of the other sex, of different dispositions, interests, character, some better than others, some are batshit insane that you should rather put the wall between. But that is basically, a harem anime is basically the women that you come across in your life condensed into a story. It's not an unrealistic thing. It's not a totally unrealistic thing, especially not with the characters in Re:Zero, and especially not with the characters in Mushoku Tensei.
All right.
Widow is external to the story at hand because that makes him more relatable by design. Whoa, cup noodles! I also eat cup noodles. I'm a weirdo.
But you get no waifu.
What is happening?
Wash your mirror.
I don't. What is
that mirror? Look disgusting.
Wash your mirror. Door opening transition. Here we go.
Yes.
He really likes that.
Well, he just did it. Like, why would you do the same? Okay, anyway.
He'll abuse the figurine again.
Oh, the door's closed now. He's evolving.
You're probably wondering what the fuck this even has to do with Ascendance of a Weeaboo anymore. Let me ask you this. If I absolutely hated Ascendance of a Bookworm, would I be able to talk nearly as much shit on it as I just did with Re:Zero? No, I wouldn't, and that's really the core problem with Re:Zero. First...
No. That's the core problem with you.
I'm so confused. What was the point he just made?
I am also not following right now.
I'm not following what he just said.
I heard words. I don't know whether there was a sentence.
Is he saying that he can't shit on Bookworm because he likes it and it's so good, and Re:Zero is not good, and that's because he can shit on it? Is that the point?
Let's try that again.
Yeah, I'm so confused.
You're probably wondering of a weeaboo anymore. Let me ask you this. If I absolutely hated Ascendance of a Bookworm, would I be able to talk nearly as much shit on it as I just did with Re:Zero?
Okay. So that means you like Re:Zero because you could talk shit about it, right? That's the logic. That's what that logic implies. He explained it in the most backwards way, but that's what he's implying. So he likes it so much he's talking shit about it. Fair.
No, so far it sounds like he believes that if he hated Ascendance of a Bookworm, he couldn't shit as much on it. Yeah, but he's not shitting much on it at all.
Yeah.
So he actually likes, after all this, he actually likes Re:Zero, or else he would not be able to shit on it as much as he did. Okay. Thank you. It makes no sense, but fine. That's it's like I beat my wife so much because I love her. It's like, all right. If you say so.
I wouldn't, and that's really the core fan of Re:Zero. You've probably only listened to the part where I said I don't like it. Have fun ranting in the comments. But the point I'm trying to make
watched the entire video.
Lost in all of the bullshit that makes up Re:Zero's story is the one thing a story needs: a reason to care. Each little thing wrong with Re:Zero is a loose thread, pulling it in a million different directions, and while its core foundation, as I hope I've made clear, is nothing short of fucking brilliant...
Wait. The foundation is brilliant, but it has millions...
foundation?
But it has millions of threads going in all these directions. I don't think you understand what you just said.
The foundation is brilliant, but he doesn't care, so it's bad.
Had he said what he believes the foundation is?
I don't know. Like the self-righteous bullshit from Subaru and the wife with dumb bullshit and whatever.
There's all these plot threads that go in a million different directions, but the foundation is brilliant. What does that mean? Because it sounds contradictory to me.
Again.
He is constantly saying one thing and then the opposite. And I'm sitting here going, do you like Re:Zero? I think you said you just did, but you hate it. Like, what is...
Moses Maimonides would have called him a dialectic sophist.
I don't know. This is... what is he trying to say?
And the whole thing unravels. The reason I...
So wait, the foundation is brilliant, but the whole thing unravels... means the foundation is not very solid and not very good.
Uh-huh.
What are you talking about?
I'm so confused.
Weeaboo better is because, despite all of its faults, it's really, really focused. Remember, me want books. No.
You're an idiot. You're reducing everything to the plot. There's more to a story than the plot. Or a simple character with a simple plot. Yeah, I agree. Those are great stories to understand. That doesn't mean you throw out more complicated stuff. That doesn't mean you throw out all the Russian writers because you can't. Oh, there's too many characters. Oh, they have too many nuance and personalities. You're the one who likes nuance.
By that metric, I would say he didn't understand the plot of ReZero.
Of no kidding. There's too many characters. It's too complicated. Oh, there's too much new. But didn't he just say that though? In the first third, where he was like, oh, there's they're so fleshed out. If only I had less fleshed out characters, I'd like it more. Or words to that effect. What do you want?
Literally don't know anything else about mine, but we know exactly where her head is every single step of the way.
What's your point? She's
He
one-dimensional?
wants single-minded people. He wants single-minded people because he is single-minded.
He just said we don't know what's in her mind. We don't know what's going on in her head. So that's bad, right? Because he wants everything explained.
Yeah, but what about the waifus who are stupid? Who are very single-minded? Those are bad?
What about the self-righteous bullshit about wanting books?
What about the lack of confidence or self-importance of Subaru? Is that unclear to you? Is that bad or is that good? What is he? I don't get it. I'm totally lost. What does this guy want?
A therapist.
I want a therapist. Forget him. This guy's insane.
If you find a good one, let me know.
Yeah, well, maybe not in Toronto.
It's this single-mindedness of the plot that makes it work.
Of the plot. Of the character.
Is ReZero bad because it has too much plot?
It depends.
Yeah, that's what he complained about several times. The too many characters with death. You want only two characters with death. Everyone else should have death.
Two characters that are good. Everyone else needs to be bad. And the world needs to be bad, and that you don't focus on the world because that's bad.
Also, stereotype flat characters are bad.
Yeah, stereotype flat characters are bad, but if you only want one thing, that's a good MC that I really like. And oh, this guy.
I want to talk to this guy. I want to watch this video with him. And I want to
invite him on.
I want to go through 4 hours of this guy watching his own video and say, excuse me, what the hell did you just say? Write that sentence down on paper and read it back to yourself. Because no one knows what that means, not even you.
We might get him through high school that way.
Surely in an actual stream conversation, he would answer what he actually means, right?
I don't know. He's so confusing. He might have some backwards way of explaining himself. I've talked to people who have the dumbest way of explaining themselves, and it doesn't help.
Yeah, I don't think he has ever learned what explaining yourself means. What articulating your thoughts, what you believe is going on means.
Maybe he just assumes that it's like a thing with his channel or something, that like if you watch his videos you just know what he means. Like that's the thing you said, Wisp, right?
Yeah,
like, he just assumes everyone knows what he means.
Yes, and that is an emotionally immature problem. This is where the projection in for example in narcissists comes from. They assume that everybody thinks like they do. That's why they think that everybody knows what they're talking about, because it's obvious to them, therefore it has to be obvious to you. So they expect you to mind read.
All right, well, let's not...
If you've ever been in a relationship with someone who constantly expects you to mind read, that is where that comes from.
Let's try to get through this before we hurt ourselves.
Some power fantasy. In fact, she's weak as fuck. It's not about some crazy high fantasy concepts, although they're there.
No, she got super mana.
Theoretically, she's the strongest magic user, but it takes so long to get there that it's basically irrelevant. Mine has a problem to solve.
Now, it is irrelevant up until the point where the magic plot starts. Because she's a child. You know, the little kid that has to learn to Or supposed to do like kid stuff.
Yeah, the trope of the reincarnated person having superpowers or a gift that no one else has is pretty normal. So.
Yeah, like first she has to help her mom cook or some
it's basic stuff.
Which actually makes Subaru a unique protagonist because he doesn't have any powers.
Yeah.
Except dying.
Yeah, dying horribly.
That reminds me of an actual manga where the guy's ability is to be reincarnated. It's not quite the same as this. He reincarnates to 24 hours ago. And he can if he gets killed by someone, he could learn something about them. So he learns how to solve the problem. I can't remember the exact name of
that does sound like torture porn.
Oh my god! It starts off he kills himself 800 times to go back in time.
Does he become a new person like when he reincarnates?
No, same guy, but he knows what's going to happen in the future. So the problem is there's the whole not isekai system, but the gaming system around him. So everyone else has
like
other.
Game?
Yeah, it's the reverse isekai. The world comes to them, so everyone is now different. And his gift was to be reincarnated 24 hours later since he was killed. So he wants to solve the problem, like the same issue with the reincarnation or regression story, but he has to manually go through the regression by killing himself hundreds of times over. To get,
so he has a 24-hour respawn timer.
Yeah, so he has to. So he goes through every day, and he just grabs a knife and stabs himself in the gut and dies. And it happens. He does it over and over. So the guy who is like full of justice, and he could see your status. He sees that he's killed like hundreds of thousands of people, but they're all suicides.
What? The self-kills count as kills?
Yeah, they didn't designate whether it's murder or suicide or whatever. It's just deaths. So he's killed like all these people. I think it's called Suicide SSS Class Suicide Hunter or something like that. I can't remember. It's really good though.
That thing would turn you into a numb sociopath so quickly.
He is numb to dying. He is numb to like being in danger because he knows he's going to come back. But he has
but just from the going through that process often, that would just turn you completely dead inside.
They talk about that. You know the character persona from Persona 3, like that sort of mentality where he just throws himself at anything and he doesn't care about his own life. It's kind of like that, but he's more involved because he knows that he wants to solve the problem, whereas the character from Persona 3 is just like he had a death wish. So, anyway.
Solving it and everything else whereas in ReZero, it's about everything revolving around Subaru, and Subaru himself is secondary. Again, yes, kind of the point, but that doesn't make this not true. Ascendance of a Weeaboo should be the anime that all other isekai are judged by because it's so goddamn simple. No, it's not my favorite anime ever, not even close. But I like it because...
And yes, it is simple, but bloody hell is it badly
Why
written.
would you use this as the basis?
That's so weird. So he wants Bookworm to be like the standard for everything.
Yeah, like when I talk about introducing people to stories, like let's say the Poirot miniseries or whatever, I would recommend certain stories, but I wouldn't use it as a standard of this is the one you have to read. I say this is the one you should read if you like the golden age of murder mysteries because it's easy to read. And then if you like that, then just read the whole canon, or I'll give you some harder ones or whatever. That doesn't mean I would base that one story for all of Agatha Christie's and everyone else who ever writes British murder mysteries. That's silly.
Yeah, the standard switches based on the genre or like what you're interested in.
Yeah, like you wouldn't say go watch Babylon 5 and then watch everything else. It's like no. Do you like Star Trek? Do you like Stargate? Then you might like Babylon 5. That would be your favorite things. But you don't just jump into Babylon 5 as if you don't know anything. To me, that's the best as it gets. So you can't just go to the number one and just assume the person's going to like it. You have to okay, do you like 60s Star Trek? Do you like
do you like sci-fi?
Do you like sci-fi in general? Sci-fi? Yeah. Do you like Quantum Leap? Do you like all these Outer Limits and all these other weird stories. Okay, then maybe you like Farscape. Maybe you like something a bit more confusing or weird, or like Space Above and Beyond, or something more different. So no, this does not even come. This does not even come close. I would. There's hundreds of isekai. This one does not even show up on the radar for introducing someone to isekai. This is a very
Bookworm is like one of those isekai that you start watching when you already like isekai. It's
Yeah.
like, oh, it's this idea now. I'm gonna watch
can't,
this.
You can't introduce someone to isekai with this. You would have to introduce them to, like, I don't know, not even Konosuba. It would have to be something like.
You can't start with parody.
I think Konosuba is actually an interesting one to mention, because I also think that one is a bad standard, because it's a comedy. It's a parody of isekai itself
and fantasy.
It's why I think it's so weird when people say that like Konosuba is their favorite isekai, because what does that even mean?
It's mainly
it makes fun of isekai.
The isekai aspect of it is also relatively small. And yes, the main character also dies repeatedly.
Yeah.
But the main part of Konosuba is that it is a fantasy parody. And it has a lot of similar humor, but turned up a few notches than as Slayers did.
Yeah, generally speaking, isekai,
I rather compare to Slayers than to any other isekai.
Yeah, generally speaking, it's a power fantasy. It's being sent to another world for your good deeds or a chance at a new life. So the gods take pity on you. And
I mean, Megumin is based on linear inverse.
Oh yeah, no, I think once you get into the genre, then you're like, okay, now that you know, like you wouldn't say, hey, read Deadpool, right? That's my favorite manga. It's like, no. Just try the dramatic ones, try the revenge ones, try the cute ones, like, you know, going to another world to have a farm life or a slow, easy life in an item store or whatever. Do those. And then say, okay.
Oh my god. I just know it is the same cast as Slayers.
Really?
Yeah. Megumin is Lina. So this is the flat-chested death laser. What's her name? Darkness. She is the dumb fighter. That's Gaudi.
Oh, okay.
Aqua is the slightly dumb but quirky priestess. That would be Amelia. And the only serious guy in the party is Zelgadis, the swordsman. And that's our protagonist. He doesn't really have much stuff. He also has a little bit of magic, but overall he's the only guy who tries to be serious about anything, but eventually gives up on that.
Yeah.
It's Slayer's cast.
Well, I think if we were to make 4 major types of isekai, the dramatic ones, the game technical heavy ones, the comedy ones, and the obscure, like ones like this, like they're nuanced. They're about farming, they're about reading, they're about walking, they're about sleeping. There's all kinds. Like those are the main categories. And once you show those to someone, because isekai is gigantic, there's probably way more categories. But once you have those basic power fantasy, drama, comedy, and all the special ones, then you could show them something that, oh, what do you like? Oh, now I know what you like. Here's like SSS Class Suicide Hunter, or the Frozen Hero Returns, or whatever. There's all kinds. So then you could figure out what this person might like. It's kind of like figuring out what kind of cheese someone likes. There's so many. You have no idea whether they're even able to eat dairy, let alone appreciate dairy. And once they introduce them to French or Italian or Swiss, it's like, oh, okay, now I know what you're going to like. So,
but I'm lactose intolerant.
Yeah, I would never base Parmigiano Reggiano. Once you like that, then you can like all cheese. It's like, nope. No way. Anyway. We have a minute left. Oh my god.
Knows exactly what kind of story it is, and it can't fail in all the ways ReZero does, because it never tries to be anything other than that story. It's
just a simple little girl Mary Sue power fantasy.
Wow.
ReZero doesn't pretend to be anything. It is the thing. It is its story. It's not pretending to be something else. The story with the book girl that only wants books is so simple, and that's why it's so good, because nothing happens.
Because he can comprehend it.
I remember this was an anime back in the summer.
Don't give this guy Lord of the Rings to read. Give him a kid's book with big letters and just 2 sentences per page.
Yeah.
He mentioned Lord of the Rings, so he has at least seen the movies, right?
Mm-hmm.
Did he understand them?
Well,
I don't think so.
I remember this was an anime in the summertime, and I read the manga, and it's still going on. It's called I Got a Cheat Ability in a Different World and Became Extraordinary Even in the Real World. So there's this dual life he's living, where he goes to his uncle's house that's abandoned. He owns the house or whatever. And it's an open door, kind of like Alice in Wonderland, to another world. And he is in his backyard, and there's a magical barrier, and he throws a rock or something that kills this high-level monster, and he levels up. And that level up increases his stats, but it also transforms his body. So he's this frumpy, fat, really weak guy, and then all of a sudden becomes ripped and just thin and strong and smart, because all his stats went up. It wasn't just strength, it was everything. So
I am also wise now.
So yeah, he's super smart and strong, and he could like jump really high. And so he can go to both worlds, and his real world life changes. He has the opportunity to become a model. He doesn't want to do that. He meets all these attractive women on both sides, and that to me is probably the best power fantasy, because it's not about power per se, but it's both the fantasy in life, where all of a sudden you snap your fingers and you're a model dude, you're super smart, you're super athletic, you have superpowers, but you don't use them because you're a nice guy, but your personality is still the same. So even when he was weak, he helped people. Like, he was being beaten because he was also beaten as a kid. He was being picked on a lot. So when he saw that in real life, he helped a girl, and another girl saw that. Oh wow, you're a good person. So when he transformed, that girl still recognized him, even though he looked completely different. So you have these pure-hearted people. I don't know how they do it, but it's the mysticism of women. They just know it's the same person. And he gets accepted to a new school, and he finds how to make weapons and mystical things. He's so powerful and all that jazz. So it's pretty much every trope you could think of regarding power fantasies. There's all kinds of women. There's all kinds of friends that want to be like him. But it's just so humble, and he's such a nice guy, which is the typical standard protagonist in Japanese shonen. You're oblivious to the world of women. You just want to do right, and you want to help people. And that's the standard. If you go to Japan, that's the standard attitude all the Japanese people have it towards new people. They just want to treat you with respect and help you out. And it's such a nice story. It's not amazing. It doesn't change your mind about isekai, but that would be the one I would introduce to people, because it's fundamentally, isekai is a power fantasy. And if you have that on both sides, it's kind of like, oh, and plus the animation is really good. I don't know why they broke the bank on that anime. There's no reason to.
Also, this frame irks me ever more, because there's so many. The medieval research in Bookworm is so superficial and bad. Like going into this false belief that people couldn't write and read in that time, because mine teaches the guards at the gate.
Oh, really?
Yes. But in this frame, so they built these horrible, weird houses out of wood. You see a brick wall on the outside, but this huge open oven that you can't cook on is put directly onto the wooden floor. If you had done such a thing in these weird medieval apartment houses, like what the fuck, you would have another layer of stone around that, because lo and behold, there's a lot of sparks coming out of there. You don't want accidents. And if you have a house with how many fit in it? What was that? 6 stories? So let's say there's 12 parties, 12 families living in there. They all have these things. Man, that thing, that you get accidents quickly. This whole city is done.
All right, let's keep going.
Ready to pass the bad isekai test because the answers to the questions why mine and why isekai are seeping through its every pore. Because those two questions are literally the only thing the story is ever about.
That's stupid, though. That is asinine to argue that because one writer decided to focus on, I don't know, the main character and the setting, therefore every story in that genre should be the same. Is completely not. It's so stupid, especially with a mixed genre like isekai.
Also, it doesn't even make sense with the first question, because when he says like why mine, it technically doesn't explain why her, because why? The world doesn't need books. Apparently it has existed without them this whole time. They're fine. Only she wants the books.
Compare that
nobody
to
else
doesn't need
does.
her at all.
Compare
that is 2 seasons, no hint.
Yeah, and
The world, it doesn't need her at all. That's like you said. Like how does that explain the answer why she's the protagonist?
Yeah, compare
It
that.
Zero gives hints about that, but he ignores that.
Yeah, compare that to Subaru.
Yeah.
He is vital to the existence of the world, and this is the great thing about isekai. The world sees the person coming in as a weird, a random event, and usually they're not accepted right at the bat, unless in certain stories they are. But for the most part, they help the world immensely. They change the world for the better, and it just so happens that
the world also interacts directly with Subaru.
yeah,
The monsters, they react to his presence and to his connection with the witch. He saves several other people that would have died with his ability. He's connected to one of the most important historical figures in the entire story. Like, he has a place in this world. Mine is there because books.
Yeah, Overworld goes into that by season 4, that there's maybe a connection with other ex-players in that world. Subaru? Not Subaru. Konosuba? That's just how things work in that universe?
Konosuba kind of gets a pass because it's a comedy.
Yes. But if it's all about explaining why does the protagonist get there, Bookworm takes its time, because Overlord is fine taking its time. Like, it's because Overlord is mainly about the power fantasy and doing awesome fantasy shit that is.
Why didn't he use
a bit badly
Overlord as
CGI
an
animated?
example? Why didn't he use Overlord as an example when he was talking about villains? Ainz is a villain. He's a villain to the people in the world.
Yeah.
Why
He's
didn't
a
he
villain,
use that?
villain protagonist.
Yeah.
this is so stupid. He's not even listening to his own argument. It's like, hey, do you even know why mine is in this world? Like metaphorically or physically or spiritually? Nope. She's just there. She wants to do stuff with books. And if she were to die the next day, the world would be fine. Subaru.
Like her inventing books does nothing for the world. They don't need it.
Yeah.
She just
They
does
have it. They
because
have
she wants.
this world has books.
Yeah,
It doesn't have mass
thing.
production.
Yeah. With
It
Subaru,
technically lies about its thing with the books, yes.
he
Yes,
saves
because when
the
she
world.
Yeah, because when mine gets old enough to get into the church temple thing, they have a library. And then she spends time in that library. You know? The girl who thinks there are no books in this world. She gets to be in a library.
All right.
Problem solved.
He obviously has different criteria than just his two that he's not sharing with us. Anyway.
He's not aware of that. He's not aware of his own fault.
Why me want books? Why isekai? No books. You literally cannot get any simpler.
Yes, that doesn't make any sense, you moron. Why isekai, no books? What the hell does that mean? There are books there.
With each other. You can have these plots without each other. This is independent of the genre.
Yeah, but there are books in the world. There's just not that many. What's your point?
You can have the same. You can have the same plot with mine having grown up, seeing one book as a child, and she wants books so bad that she has all these fancy ideas suddenly.
Like you could say she's a cartoonish character because her entire personality is about books. Like you could easily make that argument.
Yeah, but he wants flat characters. He only not too many depth, not too much depth. Confuses him.
Only two, no more than two,
and not necessarily the main character.
Yeah.
Hey, wanted to mention Mushoku Tensei. We don't know why Rudius got into that world. We can have hints about that it's something to do with this conflict of these god characters.
Yeah.
But they are not telling us anything.
Yeah, it's not explained yet.
It doesn't make too much sense, but he does explain he wants to help. And he pops in every...
He claims.
I know, it makes almost no sense because he's sort of mysterious, but he does say that I did this for you, I want to help you, and you should go here if you want to do this. So he does guide him out. So it's not like, bye kid, have a good life. It's like, no, he's always popping in every year or so. Check up.
Like
even without knowing deeper reasons about that, it makes sense that he is like that, because if he is that knowledgeable, he knows that if he spells things out too clearly, then events will not happen with the nuance they need. So he can only give the general direction of go there, so that the things will unfold the way they should.
There's also been moments where he said that Rudius clearly did something that he didn't expect. Like he had an intention behind the hint that he gave, and Rudius did actually something completely different that he wanted. Like that has been in the story. That was something he mentioned.
Yeah. So there's something going on, but we don't know yet. And there's so much other interesting stuff that it's okay that the backstory, that the meta plot, whatever you call that is unfolding slowly.
Yeah,
the plot in Babylon 5 took 3 seasons.
You're allowed to cook. You're allowed to have these mysteries and explain them when you're ready to explain them to the audience. That's fine.
Yeah. Monster took, was it 60 episodes? It was a pretty long series. I'm trying to remember how long.
It is pretty long. I think it was 60.
Yeah, there's so many side characters, and they got their own plots. They got their own arcs. So you can do that. You could have interludes, and characters that are secondary characters have their own focus. So that's fine. You can do that.
Interlude was a weird anime.
That was an anime?
That was an anime. That was an anime by that title. I do not necessarily recommend watching it.
Okay, fair enough. Okay, we're almost done.
So if this helped you understand...
What was
that?
We have to go back. I think
you literally cannot get any simpler.
What the fuck?
Bad editing.
Or nothing.
So if this helped you understand isekai a little more, do me a favor and step on the like button, and consider subscribing for more galaxy brain weeaboo takes. And if for some reason you'd like to hear me take the piss out of isekai a little more, check out my video plagiarizing zero punctuation. But
No, I don't want to see that. That's horrible. Why would you?
You don't have a galaxy brain.
Why would you?
Not even for a joke.
Why would you want to? Why would you want to emulate Yahtzee? What the hell are you doing, buddy? You have no acting skills.
He has a lotus surface brain.
You're an emotional child. You think you could emulate Yahtzee? Good luck.
Get more out of my video on why everything you think you know about Gundam is a lie. Anyway.
No, shut up. All right, I got my post ready to go.
Gundam is a lie. What does that even mean? What is that title? Gundam is a lie? He really does think he's just way smarter than he is with these titles and these topics. Oh, Gundam is a lie. What the fuck does that mean?
He lives at the ceiling of the Dunning-Kruger scale.
All right. Well, I'm done. I'm glad we're never going to cover. Well, I don't want to. There's no need to cover him early. He's not very.
You want to invite him on?
Yeah, but we don't need to cover him. It'll just be a beatdown. We'll just be like, okay, what's this? Yeah, you're crazy. You're insane. What's this? Yeah, you're illogical. That makes no sense. What's this? Oh wow, you literally had a brain fart and forgot you were saying. That's great. Like it would just be ridiculous nonsense every 20 seconds. You'd be like, what are you talking about? You're stupid. Like stop it. Anyway. Virgin MCU Thanos versus Chad Marvel Comics Thanos. Okay, well, I've already read the comic, so you guys could read that. This is a bunch of women. Oh, okay, nuns with rulers. There you go. Boarding school. Fantastic breakdown. Most people will at the stuff you say, but you on point with it, and I'm really glad I'm not the only one thinking that this. I really love both shows. Really.
What?
Congratulations, you made a dot at the end of a line.
Yeah. I found your video on Reddit. Who really? As a fan of both Bookworm and ReZero, I really wanted to give it a chance. But then you said that the first few episodes of ReZero were the strongest. Sorry, I can't continue to watch this video. Yep, thank you.
That's a smart person.
There's like 10 upvotes. And the other one only had one. Anyway, a year ago, by the way. You don't get ReZero. ReZero is not a fantasy story isekai. Okay. It's a drama thriller loop story. I mean, it's both. Controversial opinion. Mine is more blank than Subaru.
God, yes.
Yeah.
Why won't you just shut up? Hello, YouTube today. I will tell you why ReZero is a bad isekai. Two-Face? It's worse than Two-Face. This guy looks in the mirror and he just makes words up. And he thinks he knows what they mean.
He'll make you a good communist.
And those are all these are all the memes we have. I'm going to post my comment, call it a night. And,
oh dear.
Oh dear.
It's not that bad a comment. Just me going, what is this? Why are you're wrong, blah, blah, blah. So it's very straightforward. There's very small sentences. I'm sure you can understand it. It's, no big words.
You have to be careful with those.
You have to be careful with words he doesn't understand.
Yeah, I say no a lot.
Make lots of line breaks.
Oh, but
it's easier to read.
Each sentence is like 5 words long. It's just like no.
You need to use his language so he understands it. So you need to add fuck after every sentence. You need to call things dumb bullshit and nonsense.
Yeah. No. This is only from yesterday's video, so I skipped all of Monday's and skipped all of today's, aside from the one comment at the end. We talked about his criteria, which is why mine, and why Subaru, and why isekai. So that's it. Anyway, guys, that this is a gem. This is one of those things we weren't expecting, and we found. What do we call this guy? What do we say about him? He's the most confusing fanboy we've ever encountered, that you should never listen to when talking about the fandom he's a part of, because he is.
You see, he is a perfect example of no empathy, low intelligence, doublethink.
I don't know. It's hard to formulate what exactly his problem is, because he has like these two ideas that are contrary in his mind, and he expresses them both as the truth. And I'm like, that can't be logically possible.
That's doublethink, Smut. That is what doublethink is.
Really?
You have two contradictory opinions in your head, and you can hold them at the same time. In the same sentence.
I like this thing, but I also think it's
and
the
you will
worst
have
thing
no
in the
cognitive
world.
dissonance.
Yeah. And their judgment values, they're not like, this thing is hot, this thing is cold. It's, I hate this is really good. It's like, what? What are you talking about?
And he says something like Bookworm should be the standard for everything. It's like, what? Why?
Yeah. That one I'm not going to ask him with, because I think it's just subjective nonsense, but Ah, man, that was in recent time, that's the most weirdest guy we've ever covered. And all we need is like, I don't know, another Trump rant from Maggie or whoever to bring us back to, oh yeah, okay. I remember what we used to cover.
Going back to the communism that we're used to.
Yeah.
Like, at least this guy made comments that I've never heard before. Like, his arguments, I've never heard anyone make them.
Yeah, no, it's too unique. I'm more fascinated by the person than what the hell he's like. He could be talking about matchsticks. I don't care.
Like, I think the most interesting part about the entire video was that he slowly revealed all the stories that he does know, and it just got more and more confusing.
Well,
when he brought up Thanos as like a villain example, but then he reveals he has seen Lord of the Rings, but he thinks the ring is the villain.
Well, when he got to 90%, he was admitting that ReZero's a good show, and I'm like, what? So we should watch it, but it's a bad show. But what is happening?
Mine is the villain in Bookworm.
Thanos was right.
That's the funniest out of context thing from the entire video. Just Thanos was right.
I didn't write that down, but yeah, no, that is another thing. Anyway, yeah, we are done with this fellow probably forever. I doubt he's that interesting. That was one of those,
great suggestion.
Yeah, that was one of those things 10 years from now he'll look back on. I was like, what the hell did I do in my childhood? I was a weirdo who didn't understand logic and reason and memory and taste and
words,
women, all that. Just everything. Just nothing made sense to me. I was confused. Life was very difficult back then.
The wonders of puberty.
Yeah. Maybe he was going to throw out all his anime and manga and statuettes. Who knows? I have no idea about this kid. Anyway, thank you guys. That was wild. If you have any suggestions, keep them coming. We'll keep the voting going for Friday and see what's coming up. And we'll talk to you soon. Have yourself a good evening. Bye-bye.